Thank you, Reverend Karen. Thank you, Reverend Jeff, for supporting me getting here. You know, when you're invited onto someone's platform, they're saying, I trust you with my family. So grateful. So my topic today is finding your voice, a path to freedom. Let me just say what the voice is for me. It's not just the sound, the larynx, that comes out of the larynx that, you know, we sing or speak. For me, the voice is the energy, the power, the full expression of who we came here to be, and it can outpicture in a myriad of ways. It can be spoken, it can be sung, it can be poetry, it can be painting, it can be decoration, it can be dress. The thing is that we are all here to fully express. And by pulling that energy back on any level, we deprive the world that is waiting for us to deliver the gifts that only we can deliver. What I want you to know is I've been on this planet for 7 decades. And as I say that, I go, who said that? Because I feel young, vital, vibrant, and I've been on a journey my whole life to find me, to love me, to honor me. So it's really interesting. I'd love to tell you that I had a spiritual awakening when I was young, but no. I did some very interesting things in my life. So when I started to write my latest book, my 5th book, it's called Does My Voice Matter? I started looking at my journey, my path, and I started going, oh, wow. You know, we all have journeys in life. We all evolve in life. But the thing is, what do we want to do with our lives? Because where we've come from is a roadmap, but where we're going is a choice. So, I didn't always have a voice. In fact, as a kid, I wanted to keep my head under the radar. My father was an alcoholic, active alcoholic, and my stepfather was a wife beater and a pedophile. So I just kind of pulled my energy back, even though I was a high expressive. But when I got to school, I started noticing, oh, the successful kids, the popular kids are the ones that are visible. And so I had 2 personalities. There was Cindy, the hider, and then there was Cynthia, the fierce, right? And so they would float in and out. Today, I want to tell you 3 things that I have learned that I hope will support you in remembering how incredible you are. Because, okay, here's the thing. You're unrepeatable. Not another you on this planet. No one can do what you came here to do. So the first thing I want you to know is that challenges are portals of transformation. We don't always know that when we're in it, but I want you to know you have a calling. You wouldn't be on this planet at this time if you weren't necessary and essential. I didn't know that totally, but something happened for me. 2 things happened for me when I was 14. And the first thing was that I was in this school and I really was starting to step out, and they were going to have this posture contest. Actually, it was really a beauty contest, but we'll talk about that some other time. So the girls were in this pageant, right, this posture contest, and you had to wear a swimming suit. And we were on welfare, and so, but my mother found the money, and she took me to the department store, and we found this beautiful yellow swimsuit. And I was so excited. I put it on, and it fit everywhere except I was flat-chested. And so the sales lady goes, no, we can just put these things in. I was like, falsies? No, I am not doing that. And she goes, no. You'll see. You'll look great, and it won't be too much. And I'm like, okay. So they put it in, and I felt beautiful, right? So the day of the contest comes, and we all line up, and we have to turn this way, and we have to turn that way. And then she puts her hands over the heads of everybody. And when they got to me, the audience, all my classmates stood up, and they were cheering me on. And it was the first time I was like, oh, well, maybe it's okay to be visible. So I lived in Minneapolis, and they have a lot of lakes, and Lake Calhoun was the place that everybody went on the weekend. So I go with my cousins. I got on my yellow suit, everybody. I get to the beach, and I lay down the blanket slowly, because I really want people to see me. And I just lounge, and then I go to the water. I know how to swim because there's a mandatory swimming class in the school we have with a swimming pool. So I wade into the water. I do my best side stroke. I do my best backstroke. I am just glorious, and I dive under because I just want people to see. And the inserts pop out. You know when you're in the water and you're trying to catch stuff and then it keeps moving? So my cousins were howling. I was so embarrassed. And finally I get them and I walk out and I'm demoralized. But as I step out of the water, a voice in me says, it doesn't matter, you're a winner. And that was the first time I think I understood that God was talking to me. So 2 weeks later, I'm in school, and we're in the swimming pool, we're swimming, and for those of you here who aren't black, I'm going to tell you something. Black girls do not want to get their hair wet. Yours goes down like this, ours goes out like that. And they call it nappy, which is really a derogatory statement, right? And so when we were in the school, we did everything not to get our hair wet so that we would be made fun of. So we would wear these saran things around our head and put on 2 swimming caps so we could do it. So we're at the end of the class and the teacher says, okay, Cynthia, go to the end and do one last dive. And I'm like, okay. So I go to the end, I dive in, and something happens. The swimming cap breaks, comes off, and I'm drenched. The black girls in the pool are like big-eyed, but don't say anything. I get out of the pool and I go to the teacher and I say, excuse me, I need to go home and fix my hair. I live really close and I can be back in 30, 40 minutes max. She goes, absolutely not. I go, no, you don't understand. If I go out like this, they're not just gonna make fun of me today, it's gonna be ongoing. Y'all, she looked at me in the face, turned her back, said, this conversation is over, go to class. Choice point. I could either stay in school and be humiliated, or I could go home, so I went home. Now, I knew my mama was not gonna be thrilled, but she was at work, and when she got home, you know, I had all this time to be emotional, and so I go into her and I'm sharing with her what happened. And my mother was a highly emotional person, usually overreactive, and instead she was calm. And she said, why did you do that? I said, I gave her all the reasons, and she said, okay, well, you can't go back to school till I go with you, so we're gonna go tomorrow to see the principal. Okay, so we get there, and I sit down and I'm nervous. I'm like, because he goes, you know, your daughter was inappropriate. She was disobedient. You know, I could expel her. And he's going on and on. And my mother is calm. And I'm looking at her like, who is this? And when he finishes, she says, do you have any idea how hard it is to be a teenage colored girl in this school? And he looks at her and I look at her. He said, and she said, my daughter is an A student. My daughter is in all of these clubs. She shows up and she's in service. She had to take care of herself. So whatever punishment you want to dish out, it's okay. So he says, I'm giving her 2 weeks of detention. My mother said, fine. She takes the slip and she walks me to my class. And when we get to the door, she says, I am so proud of you. She said, standing up for yourself is something every person has to learn. I do not like disobedience in children, but what you did was something that will benefit you the rest of your life. And she walked away, and we never spoke about it again. I want you to know, standing up for yourself, standing in your power, standing in your presence, being the light that you came to be here is essential for you to flourish. You have never been a victim of anything or anyone. The past does not define you. So the second thing I want you to know is judge not by appearances. So I take people on pilgrimages, and I love doing it. I've been doing it for 10 years. And I just came back from Egypt, taking 12 people there on an amazing pilgrimage. And Karen Russo and Bill Sneed were with me, and I just was so happy about that. But here's the thing. We have a interesting way of living sometimes. Our inner judge, our inner critic gets busy and starts talking to us through some field of perception that could be accurate or inaccurate. And a lot of times what it does is it causes division. We're watching it in nations. We're watching it in this country. We're watching it in politics. We're watching it because somehow or another, people think separation is real. But we are connected and interconnected and have always been interconnected. There was a video online, and this woman was in McDonald's or something, and this guy comes in, can you give me a piece of bread? And she sounded like she was from Africa. She goes, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And she said, would you like some coffee? And he said, you're going to give me coffee? She goes, yes. She said, he said, why are you going to do that? And she said, oh, because we should be kind to each other. We should be loving. We're all connected. Blood is not black or white. And she says, you got to pay it forward. He said, that's really right. So he pulls out his wallet and he hands her $1,000. And at first she went, oh, no. He goes, yeah, paying it forward. So what I want you to know is that even when you have been on this path for a long time, your mind can go down a rabbit hole. So I'm in Egypt, and it's our first day, and we're at this hotel, and we're resting to get ready for the rest of the trip, and we're at the pool, and this Muslim couple comes in, and the woman is really covered, black over her head and her shoulders, and then down here, and it was her swimming suit. Everything was covered. So they get in the pool, and she's a little nervous in the water, and her husband is like showing her, and you could see the connection. And I'm sitting there, and I'm going, I wonder if she's uncomfortable in this outfit. I wonder if it's too hot. And then my mind went, I wonder if Muslim women, really hate what they have to do. And I went down this whole thing, right? And at one point I said, Cynthia, stop. So I went and got in the pool, and she was sitting on the side, and he had left. And in pools and hotels, they always play music. So I dance in the pool, and I'm swimming, I'm having a good time. So the next morning, we're in the restaurant. And I'm sitting there at the table with some of the group, and she and her husband walk in. And y'all, I don't know, it was like something pulled me out of my seat. And I walked over to this woman and man, and I said, do you speak English? And he said, yes. And I looked at her, and I said, I want you to know how beautiful you are. It's striking to me. Something miraculous that happened. She said, I have loved you from the moment I saw you. And I'm looking at her, and her husband's looking at her. She said, you walk with such confidence, like nobody's watching, like you don't care what other people think. I want that. And then she opens her arms, throws her arms around me, and embraces me. Her husband's eyes are like this, and the connection, it was like we were always sister souls. What I learned in that moment is, really there's no separation. I know families are fighting over politics. I know there's racial stuff. I know all that stuff is happening. But we do not have to participate. We do not have to go into that muck and mire that says, you're different than me, you think different than me, you learn different than me, you practice different than me. We do not have to do that. Because the appearance is not the truth. I loved that reading that Bill did this morning from this thing called Life, right? It's like we get to choose. And you get to choose how you want to interact with people, how you want to bring your voice, what you will stand for and what you will not stand for when people are trying to tear others down. You get to be that voice. The third thing I want you to know is that your inner knowing, that thing that's encoded in you, will guide you to extraordinary places. When I think about what I do today, I feel like I'm a miraculous unfolding, because a lot of the people that I grew up with are still on welfare or have been in jail or overdosed on drugs. You know, I mean, so the fact that I stepped out of that was because there was something in me that was a seeker. I wanted to live differently. I didn't think welfare lines was my destiny. And so I opened my consciousness and I started imagining. I started allowing my creativity to take me other places in my mind. I saw myself on stages. I saw myself traveling. I saw myself being in wonderful arenas and beautiful homes. I mean, I saw it, and it made no sense because the places we were living were interesting, to say the least. But I want you to know that that inner knowing, what I tell people that I've been with is that that's not just me. I have for 5 years done a program with women entrepreneurs called AWE. And there was a woman in the class, her name was Janine. And when she came in, we could barely get her out of her seat to speak. We could barely get her to stand up and say what she wanted. But she stayed in the program for 3 years. In the second year, she started writing poetry. And it was incredible. She said she had been a poet in high school and had put it down. Well, she just had an extraordinary experience. She went diving in the Maldives, and on the last day when everybody was supposed to go home, she was diagnosed with COVID. She had to stay there in a Muslim country by herself in a hotel with very little money. She went through so many layers, so many multi-dimensions of fears and doubts and all the stuff that she had pushed down as a child or pushed down as a woman or as a young adult. But what happened is, when she came home, she realized that what she had gone through was cathartic, and it was a transformative moment, so she wrote a book. And it's called Both Things Are True. And it's exquisite. It has changed her life. That thing that looked like horrible while she was going through it, her inner voice kept guiding her, kept talking to her, kept telling her she was safe, kept telling her she would be taken care of, and earth angels would show up and support her. I want you to know you have an inner guidance system that is incredible. It's powerful. And it is constantly whispering to you in a still small voice. And by the way, that still small voice really is still and small. So when we're busy and we're doing all this stuff that we're doing, you know, that voice is saying, I got you. I love you. You're abundant. You're clear. You're expansive. I've got you. There's nothing against you. So you never have to resist anything. I love synchronicity. So I'm sitting in my chair this morning, and someone that I know comes up to me and says, I can't believe your talk is finding my voice. And she said, I wrote a poem. I'm going to read it to you. It took a while to find my voice, buried beneath the need to please, unaware that I had choice, afraid to speak lest I displease. My silence grew and became a tomb that kept me from being known. It was learning trust that freed my tongue and proved to me that I had grown. What joy it is to speak my mind, not worry who'll take issue. Give life to words long unspoken and learn I truly was not broken. 'Twas Spirit who unearthed the words, gave grace to all I'd hidden, brought freedom to my thoughts and words, and taught me there's nothing that's been forbidden. Glenda Lipman. What I love about this is I've known Glenda for a long time. But what I loved is that she came over to tell me she had done this with such pride in her evolution and her expansion and wanted to share it with me. That's what I want you all to know. You are here to share with other people your gifts, your dynamism. You are here. And if you don't, you are depriving people that can only get what they need from you. So what I would like you to do in this moment is I'd like you to close your eyes. And I would like you to just breathe. And I would like you to just tap into that part of you that knows you're brilliant, that knows you're powerful, that knows you're original, that knows you're expansive. And breathe that in. And join me as we move into prayer, because that knowing is a reminder that the infinite presence of the divine is revealing itself in every single moment, every single thing, every breath, every thought, every word, every deed, every action. And we are manifestations of that extraordinary energy. Therefore, oh, so much power, so much light, so much love. And so we stand in the awareness in this moment that we reclaim the truth of our being, that we are here as a divine appointment, that we are anointed with the Spirit of the living God, and it's powerful. So on the altar of light in this moment, we place any fears, any doubts, any old patterns, any old fears that may be running, we place them on the altar of light and allow them to transform into an awakening that our voice matters, that there's a reason for our being, and that everything that has ever happened has brought us to this moment. Oh, we just give thanks and we breathe it in. We give thanks that there are amazing communities like New Vision Center that open space and hold space for us to come and thrive. And so in this moment, we lift up this amazing center and we give thanks for the care, the leadership, the love. And for anyone who may be suffering in this moment, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, or financially, we bless them. We remind them that they're not alone, that this planet is being blanketed with light moment by moment by moment. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful that there is no opposition to God, therefore there can be no opposition to us. And so from that place, I give thanks, I trust, I release, and I let go, and I allow it to be, and say, and so it is.